Hey there, Tina with Carton Crafts, and here I have Fabric Fashion Jewelry magazine by Plaid. I picked this magazine up at my local thrift store. Its copyright date is 1989. Fun fact, that was my high school graduating year. It showcases stiffy fabric stiffener and folk art glaze. I picked up from my local Hobby Lobby a bottle of Modge Podge Stiffy and a can of the Modge Podge clear acrylic sealer. Now, the difference between the folk art glaze and the Modge Podge acrylic sealer is that folk art is a little thicker and has a bit more of a gloss. I will show you the project I will be making today. Up in the corner, My Heart Is Yours pen. So 80s, brings back so many great memories, and also kind of has that cottagecore vibe going on. Here is a list of all the supplies you will need, the instructions, and the template for making this project. Let's get started. Materials you will need are 2 5-inch by 5-inch squares of fabric, 1 5-inch by 5-inch of batting, and 1 5-inch by 5-inch cardboard. I really wanted to protect the integrity of the magazine. I didn't want to tear any pages out or cut, so I had a piece of tissue on hand, and I decided I would trace the heart template. I'm going to trace the outer, which is considered the large heart, and I'm also going to trace the inner heart, which will be considered the small, and then the lines that connect the two, which that will be where you will cut. Once I had traced the outer, which would be the large heart, I traced the inner on a separate piece of tissue paper, and now I am going to transfer the small inner heart to the 5 by 5-inch cardboard. Now here I have a seam ripper, and it has a very sharp point, and I'm just going to go around the outline of the heart, and I'm just going to poke and make little small indentions into the cardboard. All right, here I will show you the little puncture marks I made. There you go, you can see that. Now I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to trace it. You can use whatever marker or pen, but I like using a pencil because sometimes I like to maybe go over it, sketch it out a little bit, and so that allows me to be able to erase. All right, and there you have it, the small heart. Now I'm going to cut it out. I would use scissors, but cutting through cardboard, I mean, it's just so rough on my joints and my hands, so I prefer to use an X-Acto knife. And with using an X-Acto knife, I feel like I can get more of a precision cut. And there you have it, the small heart. The next step, I'm going to take the cardboard heart cutout and I'm going to hot glue it to the batting. Then I'm going to cut the batting into the heart shape. On a side note, the Modge Podge acrylic sealer will not be used in this project. However, I will do another fabric jewelry video using the sealer. Here I have 2 5-inch by 5-inch pieces of cotton fabric. I'm going to trace around the cardboard heart cutout on only one piece of the fabric. Once that is done, I then will cut the heart shape out. When cutting out the shapes, I recommend not cutting directly on the outline, but having a little overage of the fabric will work to your advantage. Okay, so now I'm going to start working with the large heart by cutting the template out. Here I'm only cutting the outer larger heart. Once the large heart template is cut out, then I am going to pin it to the other piece of fabric. I place a straight pin in the middle, one on top, one on bottom, and side to side to help keep the template from lifting when cutting. All right, now that the large heart template is pinned to the fabric, I'm going to cut it out. This project would make a great idea for a Galentine's Day craft party with your friends, or you could just make them and give them out to your besties. Now that I've cut the large heart out, I'm going to go back where those lines are and I'm going to cut into those. That is called notching. Each of the notches I've cut about a 1/4 inch long. You don't want to go any deeper than that because it can affect the front of your project once you start wrapping the fabric around. All right, great. Now that we have our notches, let's start putting our pin together. Let's start by laying the large fabric piece print side down, then lay the small cardboard cutout with the batting side down. I then take each notch, working from top to bottom and side to side, hot gluing the pieces down. I like to work top to bottom, side to side, to make sure that I have even tension all the way around. Once I finished this part of the project, I then glued the other fabric heart to the back side to cover the raw edges. Now it's time to start working the Modge Podge Stiffy product. This is the first time I've ever used Modge Podge Stiffy. It is a very thick consistency, so to make it more pliable to the fabric, I added a little bit of water gradually to the bottle of Stiffy and mixed it with the end of a paint brush until I got the right consistency. Here you'll see in the cup the consistency I settled with. It's going to make it just a lot more pliable to the fabric. One thing that I highly recommend with this product is do a test sample first on your fabric. Initially I was going to use a satin teal fabric, but when I applied the Stiffy, it darkened the fabric and it took away the shine. So I encourage you to do a test swatch first. I applied 2 coats, and in between I used my heat gun to accelerate the drying time. Once my cotton fabric had completely dried, it now had more of a canvas type feel. Let's now add some embellishments. Here you can see where I did some embellishments around the outer edge of the heart. Then I had some leftover beads from a previous project I'd made, and a pearl and some more glass beads on top. Here I have a package of pin backs by Jewelry Shop. I picked this product up at my local Hobby Lobby. I'm going to apply just a little bit of hot glue on the back of the pin. One thing, make sure that the pin, when you go to open it, is facing the way you want. If you want it to open on your left side or on your right side. Another fun fact, when I was in 7th grade back in 1983, there was a very popular singer with the initials MJ, had a huge album out. I had a pin that was the size of a pancake with him on it. I wore it everywhere. So this pin will not be obnoxiously as big as the one I had back in 7th grade. Voila, my finished pin. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.